Hey, my Taurian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your Twin Flame read for February, March 2020. I am your reader, Mark Angelo Lyons, Mal for short, president of Drawing Circle Productions, professional witch, professional intuitive, and fellow earth sign. I am a Virgo sun. If you are new to my channel, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bells, comment. Let's have a field day. My earth brethren, sistren, because I'm really happy to be serving you today. A couple of things before we get down to this reading, though. First of all, thank you for my subscribers helping me cross the 1,000 mark. I'm very happy, very having that sense of achievement. Couldn't have done it without you. So underneath the description of what this video is about, you'll find the first link is a thank you to you all if you had not seen it yet. So please do watch. I give a little blessing. It's for a new moon, but really whenever you're supposed to see it, the blessing will take. It's one of those kind of blessings. Cool. Down to this read, however, it's a general read, right? Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. Please take what resonates, leave what doesn't. You might not even know if it's your read unless you're really tuning in intuitively, because this is a twin flame read, and the definition of twin flame and soulmate are very different. Please check the videos in the description box below, particularly the one I do clarifying the terms, as well as the one that the spiritual teacher Matt Kahn does, and we'll be using his new mantra deck here as the last card down. So bottom line, just to make this quick, the twin flame contract is a soul contract, like a soulmate, but different. The bottom line of a twin flame contract is that you help each other, you teach each other how to love yourselves, heal yourselves. In other words, by contract, you cannot give each other what it is that you really want. You, however, are contracted to give each other what you need, which is often tough love, or, oh God, it's so tricky, and not always romantic, sexual. Plus you have more than one. My father and I were twin flames. I loved my father dearly. He loved me, but God rest his soul, I was just never going to be the Republican, Catholic, heterosexual he wanted. Gay witch, liberal. So you sort of get that. We loved each other, but we could never give. I had to learn how to accept myself and love myself as I was. Right? So it's like that. It doesn't mean that you hate each other. It just means that you're there to teach each other how to love, respect, set boundaries, self-approval, self-acceptance. You're with me, right? Go watch the vid. The Matt Kahn's vid is genius. I was just sort of giving my own spin on it for these readings, right? But he's the one who really turned my head around on that, because I didn't like the term soulmate, nor did I like twin flame, because they were so conflated together. I'm like, well, what's the difference, right? And so he does a wonderful job. And then you also don't have just one soulmate or one twin flame. Go check it out. Really good. Other than that, we are going to be looking at this as a contract. It is a contract read. So we're going to be looking at two parties, calling one divine feminine, one divine masculine. Has nothing to do with biological gender whatsoever, gender of birth. I don't care about any of that. I consider myself a divine feminine. I'm a gay man. I'm a professional intuitive. I'm Pisces moon, Virgo sun. You know, it's a lot of feminine energy there. I'm down with that. I'm a feminist, man. Woman, person. I'm a feminist person. So get down with it. You're going to have to tune to like which you are as we go. And the best way I find to do that is to partner with your breath throughout the reading. I'm doing the same, tuning myself to that still point where the divine resides, always in the present moment, to connect, to ring the silent bell of my heart so that the divine can flow through me, even down to choosing the cards, giving me the clairvoyance, the clairaudience, and the empathic guidance and grace for this reading. If you're doing the same tuning as you breathe, you're tuning to the same source that I am, and so you'll get it in a different way, but from your own inside. That's how you tell whether it's yours or not, and your own personal interpretation that no one else can tell you but you. Let's rock and roll. Take a nice deep breath, please. All the decks that I use are in the description box at the very bottom. Enjoy your way down. I've got my books in there. I've got workshops that you could go watch that I did on demand. There's a lot of cool stuff. I've been doing this a really long time. So we're going to start with the Caroline Myss archetype cards to get 3. 1 for the Divine Feminine, 1 for the Divine Masculine, and 1 for the contract itself. This has been fun. Well, the Aries one was wow. So let's see how this one goes. My guides always give me new spreads every time I do, or an extrapolation of an old one. This is an extrapolation of an old spread. Here we go. Still point. My collective pantheon of angels, goddesses, gods, masters, and the higher selves of all involved. Please, I need 3 cards. 1, an archetype card for the Divine Feminine, so we know who she is and what's the soul power she's developing in this twin flame. Same for the Divine Masculine. Who's he? What's his lead and gold in terms of the power going on in his part of this relationship? And 1 for the overall relationship itself, like a third party. Like there's him, there's her, and then there's it, right? So 1 archetype, what's going on there for that card, please? First for the Divine Feminine, face down. Then for the Divine Masculine, please. Put it right in my hand. There it is. Excellent. Face down. And then please 1 for the overall Taurus collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. Twin flame contract, February, March 2020. Let's see who we've got here. Now, actually, before I flip these, keep in mind every archetype is neutral. In this deck, they call it the shadow and the light, the shadow being the toxic, that which is to be healed, because you get lead in your system, shadow in your system, it's not great. I prefer lead and gold. But also what you are learning to heal within yourself and in the overall relationship, that the other cannot help you heal. They're teaching you how to heal it somehow. Your work, right? Oh, it would be nice if we could all help each other heal, and we can, through prayer, through grace, through blessing from a distance often. But when it comes to these twin flamers, man, they are just contracted that way, and they are hard, but they are tricky, and they are transformative, and they turn you into who you're meant to be in this life. So they're worth it. They just suck. And, you know, they're not always romantic sexual. What if this is a family member we're about to look at? Just take your lessons, learn. Learn, heal, grow, become the best that you could be. Divine Feminine. The companion archetype. This was the Divine Masculine card in the Aries. So the Aries reading I just did, literally, and you saw how much I was shuffling them. I shuffled the crap out of these cards, even in between readings when I hit the card, before I hit the record button. So the shadow attribute, betrayal by misusing confidences, right? The shadow of a companion, right? It's going to betray what they've learned, what they know. Loss of personal identity, which is, you know, happens a lot. People get lost in relationships that way. Who am I without you, right? I mean, I married my first husband. It wasn't legal at the time. It was the early 90s. But, like, I learned more about myself from the divorce than I ever did from the marriage itself, because I realized how codependent I was on my identity of being a gay married male at that age, right? Meanwhile, I should have been out dancing on tables, and I was at home making meatloaf, right? Snapped out of that one fucking fast. So, you know, that idea of losing your sense of identity, like, who am I in the shadow? Now, the light, as tragic and sad as the shadow is, the light is gorgeous. This is what you're shooting for. Loyalty, tenacity, and unselfishness. Doesn't mean you're not taking care of yourself. You can be loyal to yourself. You could be tenacious in terms of your friendship and your companionship. But companion is a member of the healing family of archetypes. So whether or not this is romantic or sexual or not, you can't tell from that, because companion can mean anything, any type of relationship structure we're looking at. So let's look at the Divine Masculine. The teacher. I have the teacher in spades, you think? Now, everybody should know the shadow teacher by now. I mean, just Pink Floyd The Wall, right? Unless, you know, you're a millennial. It's just like, what's a Pink Floyd? Which wall? They don't even call it on Facebook anymore, your wall. The shadow attribute, manipulating or abusing students. Teaching negative traits and destructive skills. Not great, right? And teaching by example too, but everybody teaches by example whether they're aware of it or not. This is specific. This is the wisdom family of archetypes. So if you're abusing your students, if it's sexually abusing, like, even if everybody... I don't teach anybody under the age of 18 without parental consent, and I will get it written and verbal. Like, I need to meet the parent. just the way it is, right? And if they're both taking the class at the same time, that's fine. But even I will, even with my adult students older than me, if there's a romantic sexual attraction, I will tell them, you gotta wait until I'm not your teacher anymore. I won't do it. I had some really brilliant teachers along the way, and I had some just shit teachers along the way. So it's both of those made me a good teacher. So the light attribute, what the divine masculine is shooting for here, ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, or wisdom. So this could very much be a teacher-student relationship, rather literally, but remember, the teacher does not have to stand in front of a chalkboard, does not have to have a set curriculum, can teach by example, or isn't it, other words for it, instructor, right? Need not necessarily be even professional, just can be someone who is so very good at something that they have a natural inclination to teach others or exhibit to others how to DIY, right? Do it yourself. All sorts of ways that can play itself out. What about the overall contract? This is tricky. The priest archetype. Now, priest, priestess, please gender it as needed. The shadow attribute violates the trust of your spiritual community, seduced by your own spiritual role. So this is the divine family of archetypes. So it does say that there is a spiritual context going on in this Taurian twin flamer. I mean, sort of like the teacher and the priest, when they violate the members of their right? It makes you want to throw up in your mouth, right? It's that second chakra, solar plexus, make me want to barf feeling. That's intuition. Like, anytime you feel that in a room, leave the room. Like, that's my gut on stuff. It's just like, I gotta get out of here. I have walked up the fuck out of classes too, as my friends from high school, they'll tell you. I once got yelled at by a mime in a mime class, which I think I'm so fucking proud of to this day. To make a mime yell, that's skill. Now, the light attribute for the priest, right? Because you could feel it's like the teacher, the priest, one is the wisdom family, one is the divine family. But the light attribute facilitates spiritual commitments, serves as a channel of spiritual energy. So this relationship itself, this contract itself, is certainly of a divine spiritual nature, soul contract. All of them are in that sense, but that it feels like this might be part of a spiritual, metaphysical, drumming community, pagan community, something with a spiritual, religious bend to it, that might make it very, very hard either to be to get space to do this, or it has to appear a certain way. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a very weird feeling. The other cards will clarify. Those three represent the dominant energies. Everything else will be clarifying of that. So let's get down to it. Since we got the priest there, priest, priestess, let's go with the Healing with the Angels Oracle by Doreen Virtue. One card for each. 1, 2, 3. You get the idea. Nice deep breath. Oh, my angels, please. That was a brilliant still point. 3 cards. One for the divine feminine, one for the divine masculine, one for the twin flame contract itself for this Taurus collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign twin flame contract for February, March 2020, please. One for the divine feminine face down. One for the divine masculine, please. Let's do that again. I think I let go of that one, please. One for the divine masculine. There we go, face down. And one for the twin flame contract. Neener, neener, neener. Okay. Now these represent, since it's the Healing with the Angels Oracle, what is the healing that the angels are offering, right? Like, what's their point of view? What are they helping each of them heal individually, right? So the divine companion is being helped by the angel of serenity. Now, it can be that thing of like, well, I've done it before, we'll do it again, we'll get through this, keeping your serenity in that way. But if there is an aspect of codependence here, as I indicated with the shadow, the loss of my identity, my identity is dependent upon our relationship, which could make sense in the type of spiritual, metaphysical, perhaps religious relationship this may be couched in, then the serenity of really 12-step, right? God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Because if this is like that kind of toxic codependence thing where the serenity prayer is coming with that angel, then know that, and I've said this to people, I don't think they get it. Codependent relationships are just as destructive as abusive and neglective ones, right? Just because you're addicted to a person or a relationship pattern or a type of relationship, that sort of dependency, it's not the same as shooting heroin or being an alcoholic, but just as destructive, I think worse long term, because it destroys people's dreams from the insides out, because you don't live your life because of a dependency upon somebody else. Ugh, I've seen it happen. I've lived through it. Never again, the codependent times, said the witch on YouTube. Let's see what the angel of healing is for this teacher archetype. Dreams. And I will tell you right now, yes, this might be about nocturnal dreams, but I am feeling this is about their life dreams. Their affirmation, the affirmation of their aspirations, right? It's like, I want to explore, I want to learn. Because, I have the teacher archetype, as I said, in spades, but I'm a horrible student under somebody else, but I'm what's called an autodidact. I can teach myself anything. I could probably even teach myself the piano. It's just I have no desire to learn a musical instrument. I taught myself tarot. I taught myself video editing. I started my own company. It's all been me working with the divine. Yes, the divine is teaching me, but as far as anybody else, So this thing of their dreams, their aspirations, the things that they want to learn, they want to explore for their own sense of wisdom, not just the sleepy time dreams. Now look, if that is the case and you're having dreams as the divine masculine, sure, write them down, record them. But as far as looking up in dream dictionaries, it depends on when they were written, I suppose, but dream symbolism is so highly personal in the subconscious that you can get some, go to Jung, right? Go to Carl Jung, Meanings of Dreams and all of that. At least for a psychological, intellectual foundation, divine masculine, teach yourself some of that, learn from some of that, so that you can get the feel for that subconscious material. Because if you're eating a pepperoni pizza while watching Jaws, the movie, and then you have a dream about being chased down the beach by a vicious man-eating pepperoni, doesn't necessarily mean you're sexually repressed. It's probably just dinner and a movie, right? The processing of stressors in the nervous system. But that's why I don't feel like that's what's really going on here. The teacher with dreams, it's like, this is more like, I dream, I have a dream. God, what's with the ABBA today? That's my second ABBA reference. Stop. I love ABBA, but in its place, people. For this priestess, divine family archetype, what's the angel here? Meditation. All right. So definitely there's a lot to be contemplated on here. Not necessarily meditation in the sense of Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, right? Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. The chanting and all of that and spiritual practice, but more like, all right, what am I learning from this relationship on a soul level? How is the divine working through me as a vessel of service, right? In that light attribute, facilitates spiritual commitment, serves as a channel of spiritual energy. So how is this twin flame contract burning out of us, transforming out of us what needs to be transformed, lead to gold, so that we can be better conduits of spiritual energy? Lead is an insulator, gold is a conductor. So the personal alchemy for both of them here is kind of great, big, huge in terms of their spiritual evolution, but that's true of every twin flame contract throughout history. However, this one feels with this companion and a teacher, it might be time for this companion to kind of find her own strength, her own serenity. Remember, I'm only saying he and she because of masculine, feminine, divine masculine, divine feminine dynamic here. But with that teacher and that priest together, there really needs to be some deeper contemplation, soul searching, not just spiritual practice. Like, we need to go to God. We need to talk to the divine within ourselves and work this out interpersonally, right? Our own, and then perhaps come together and see where that goes. We are going to now go to the tarot decks. One for the Divine Feminine, which is Daughters of the Moon. One for the Divine Masculine, which we're going to be using the Mythic Tarot. We are going to be doing this a little differently. 2 cards from each. Daughters of the Moon, one for the Divine Feminine, and one for the overall relationship. Then 1 Mythic Tarot for the Divine Masculine, and one for the overall relationship. This is the twist on the old spread. I like this one. I'll probably use this with my clients. Nice deep breath. Oh, my goddesses, that was lovely. Please, 2 cards. First, one for this Divine Feminine, companion archetype in this Taurus collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, twin flame contract for February, March 2020. There she is. And one for this Taurus collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, twin flame contract, February, March 2020 in and of itself. Please, my goddesses, there we go. Now, before I flip those, let's just do the Divine Masculine so we have this whole line in place. Nice deep breath. The Divine Masculine field, the gods. Please. 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 Thank you. 2 cards. One first for this Divine Masculine teacher archetype in this Taurus collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, twin flame contract. And one for the contract itself, Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, twin flame contract, February into March, and March 2020. All right. Divine Feminine, companion with serenity, 9 of Pentacles. So she's got her own, right? She's got her own stability. 9 of Cups. Malama, Polynesian earth goddess. Think of all that volcanic soil, right? In the Pacific Ocean, right? In the South Pacific. Just volcanic, luxurious fruits. And you know what I mean? It's like so fertile. Full-breasted, full-gourded, right? Has everything she needs, but it's a 9, not a 10, right? The 10 always, to me, points to sharing that with others. But very, very serene, but she may, I mean, if she's really a solid companion that way, a fertile companion in that way, for her to really know her own worth. That's what concerns me about that, her losing her identity here. For the Divine Masculine, we've got the teacher with the Tower. Okay. Now look, when we're talking a major arcana card, it's spirit at work. It's always the divine at work, not just spirit, the divine in my book. So this is Poseidon, okay? The earth shaker, not just the god of the oceans, the god of earthquakes. So we're looking at a rapid shift and change and something disintegrating and coming apart quickly. Now, could that be the destruction of his dreams? More likely, then we're going to take this card of dreams in a different direction than originally felt, but could apply here, where someone's under an illusion, a hallucination, and then the truth comes in and strikes it down. Perhaps this teacher is under some assumptions that they should not have made, but, you know, part of their path, part of their process, and then truth comes in. Either that or this teacher is learning something and it's going to destroy what has been built so that something can be rebuilt in its place. Could be this relationship in and of itself, particularly because she's got her own. Like, I'm really feeling that. It's like she's pretty secure, pretty stable. This might be happening. I don't want to come right out and say that she's going to end it, but it does feel like this, with this card of serenity, she's kind of cool with whatever happens, and that there is the destruction of the tower here that this teacher might have been dreaming of for a long time. That kind of dream. This could be romantic, sexual. Or this could be that he had a vision, a dream of what this pairing could do. Remember, there's this definitely an indication of the type of relationships here. Some kind of spiritual contract thing. Just feels very, very, very tricky overall here. And keep in mind what each of them need to heal here to get into the light attribute. It feels like the Divine Feminine is going to kind of serenely go into this, but the Divine Masculine is really, got a shake-up going here. It's going to take some soul-searching either way for both of them. So let's look at what's going on in the relationship. We got an awful lot of fire. For the Daughters of the Moon, we got the Five of Flames. Not necessarily conflict. There's another card in this deck that does this, but Pele the Volcano. Now this could be creativity, sexuality, second chakra fire. Well, second chakra is water, but even that solar plexus power, boiling, roiling on the inside, and coming up all at once. Repressed passion usually leads to anger and rage, right? So energy, creativity that has to explode, going from molten magma up into the atmosphere. Oh, and like I said before about volcanic islands, right? It's like there's the volcano. That was already on the table when I was talking about that. Oopsie, put it in the wrong place. So it does feel like, because of that volcanic correlation with Malama here, the Nine of Pentacles, that there is a benefit here for the Divine Feminine with that volcanic connection with Pele and Malama. I find that very, very interesting. But for the Divine Masculine, we've got Seven of Wands here. Now, if you think of the Seven of Wands as sort of like going through the machinations to get something done, right? Here, we've got Jason and the Argonauts. They're trying to make their way back home. They've already got the golden fleece. So there's that thing of not necessarily the battle of the five, which gets them the golden fleece, but really sort of the almost the hoops we have to jump through, right, to then get to that Eight of Wands, that soaring through the air, right, that headed towards the destination, overcoming obstacles. So it can be that, whatever needs to be done here is going to be done very volcanically. But as a result of contemplation, people getting in touch with their own deeper desires, their element of fire, their deeper decisions, their choices, there does feel like there's a little, maybe not so little, thread of codependency going on here. Perhaps the companion has outgrown the teacher. And there are new desires, new things, deeper soul searching going on here, and that might very much, because this teacher might have had a dream of like, oh, but I thought we would forever and ever. Nope. Nope. It's going to be shook. Yeah, particularly with Poseidon. Let's keep going. It's an interesting story. And again, is it necessarily romantic sexual? Not yet, but don't worry. These next two decks, if it is, well, maybe it won't come right out and say it, but that's what I love about these next two decks. The Love Pact, Chuck Spezzano. Half the deck is problems, right, which is good. It's good to know what the problem is in a twin flame. The other half of the deck is the suit of luck, grace, and healing. So gives sort of indications there. Nice deep breath. Oh, my Ascended Master, please. My Ascended Masters of Twin Flame Contracts. Please, 3 cards. 1 for the Divine Feminine in this Taurus Twin Flame. 1 for the Divine Masculine in this Taurus Twin Flame. And 1 for the Twin Flame Contract itself. February to March 2020. I want to say. All right. This is what, like I said, this is where it gets a little weird. I told you these cards would clarify a bit. It's what they're supposed to do. We've got a companion energy dealing with the problem of revenge. Now, keep in mind what I said here. There can be a lot of fire building up, creativity, things wanted, things desired. And when they don't come to fruition, when we don't get what we want, what does that child in our heart do? Starts plotting revenge. Now, what I think is funny about this card is there's this man and woman walking along the bottom of the trail hand in hand, and there's Wile E. Coyote in a red dress about to drop a rock on him, right? So there is some real sabotorial energy here going on. Now, my sense is that if she's got everything unto herself, right? If she's really got that Nine of Pentacles, that stability and serenity, then the problem of revenge might very well be towards the Divine Masculine teacher of, now watch what I do to myself because of what you did to me, by what you taught me. Like that's, in other words, we think of revenge you know, letting the air out of somebody's tires. I always bring it back to cars. I don't know why. Like pissing in their gas tank, put sugar in their gas tank. Oh my God. I've never done it, but my brother told me about all of these things. I've never done any of that. It's not my style. Candle wax leaves no paper trail, but I don't do that anymore. I have eschewed such behavior. Because I'm tight. But that thing of revenge, we'll keep an eye on that. I'm going to go back and look at that again, because that doesn't make sense with the cards in line there, but maybe that's an element that has not shown itself yet, or she is dealing with revenge coming toward her. Let's look at what's going here for the Divine Masculine. He's got delight. I almost want to switch these two, but it's not how they came out. So the card of delight is a luck card. So there are moments of delight here where I guess the dream coming true and then whatever this shocking instant change is brings some delight. I just heard delightening. It doesn't make sense to me intellectually. Let me get this last one down. Particularly with the Seven of Wands, like that jumping through the hoops, that moving through the complications here. Fear of inadequacy. So for that there is a mutual fear of inadequacy. Now, fear of inadequacy is I'm not good enough, right? I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, and gosh darn it, people don't like me. But here, with this soul contemplation, with this stirring of this fire, that the relationship isn't living up to the standards that either one of them have, nor do their community, because this does feel, like I said, with this priestess card here, something either about spiritual or metaphysical community. See, now I'm getting it in my second chakra, that feeling of ooh, 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 ooh. This revenge might not be taken upon the divine feminine to the divine masculine, or vice versa. This might be the divine feminine taking revenge elsewhere, somewhere else in this community, because what she has is testing her serenity because of a toxic tie in a twin flame contract with this teacher who is somehow getting a delight out of this. I mean, like we said, the twin flame contracts are tricky as fuck. Tricky, transformative, turbulent, tumultuous, on again, off again, hot and cold. And remember, not just romantic sexual, can be family. Like, this feels more like a family communal thing. Like, it's definitely tribal. And that's why I'm not really getting the romantic sexual vibe here. But remember, families need not always be genetic, right? That's what I mean by tribal. This could be in a community, a group of friends, but something really with some spiritual, religious, metaphysical, or mystical bend to it. Can't pick up on the flavor of that for some reason, but that's okay. We've got a couple more cards to put down, particularly with the Whispers of Love Oracle as the voices for the higher selves of all involved. And we'll get one for her, one for him, and then one for both of them, which will be both of their higher selves that essentially agreed to the contract in the first place, right? Sending the souls down to go play their roles, right? That one both of them choose. So let's take a couple of deep breaths here. Because I really do. I call upon the higher selves of all involved. Because I really don't get that revenge card with her. So I'm going to ask, please, first for her, the higher selves of this divine feminine companion, whoever this is in the collective, please, one card for this divine feminine companion in this Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, twin flame contract for February, March 2020. One, please, for the divine masculine teacher archetype in this same twin flame contract, February, March 2020. And then one for the overall contract itself. And I can see that blocked desire, that fear of inadequacy, blocking that Seven of Wands, wanting to kind of, let's get on with this, let's fight our way through this, but it blocks, so it exploding like the Five of Flames, the Pele the volcano. I get that. Every time I'm looking at this bottom line, I get that roar in my tummy, in my second chakra going, "Arr." Please, higher selves of both of them. What's going on here in this twin flamer? Now, the companion, Practice compassion, see things from a different perspective. I have a feeling she's plotting revenge, or at least is having the emotion of it. Oh, please don't take action on it if you're the divine feminine, because look, yes, you have the upper hand, at least in terms of the physical material side of this. And if you've got the angel of serenity with you, then maybe that's the angel to help you what? Be practicing of compassion. Now, compassion is everybody is doing the best that they can. Everyone is fighting a hard battle. Given the level of consciousness they're at, the level of pain they're at, their personal histories, where they are in their evolution, all of that. But then for yourself, it's also getting that, usually that's projected, that stuff, that we don't give ourselves the compassion, therefore we're not compassionate with others. So call to the angel of compassion and say, help me see this differently. Help me see that maybe this couldn't have played itself out any other way, that maybe that's it. This relationship, if it's not connected to more of a spiritual, metaphysical tribe or community, that it's being used by the divine in a very direct way to teach something, right? We got this teacher and this companion. Something really about compassion, that this is the way this was written and no one's done anything wrong. Yes, the behavior might have been abusive, neglectful, codependent, what have you. There might have been loss and a lot of pain and suffering here. Yet with that delight card, not feeling that for the divine masculine, but that compassion is necessary. A deeper understanding, see things from a different perspective. Please, rather than dropping a rock on somebody, right? And I don't even believe in like the threefold law in that way. Well, if you take revenge, revenge is going to be taken back on you 3 times. Well, in the quantum, when does that ever stop, right? It's what is that, one of those elliptical things that never stop, a Mobius? I don't want to say Morbius, that's that vampire from Spider-Man, isn't it? Mobius knot, whatever that's called. The infinity loop. No, practice compassion here. Get some Dalai Lama, right? Read a little His Holiness. Because if this is being used, well, every relationship is part of the divine plan, but maybe you guys can contemplate that and access that. Therefore, this fear of inadequacy that either both of you are carrying individually about each other or about the relationship can be seen, no, this is all happening for us, but we have to learn what we're here to learn so we don't keep repeating this. Let's look at the divine masculine. I'm telling you, the Ascended Masters, you threw us some curveballs there. All right, for the divine masculine, the higher self says, love endures, which is very much a Taurian quality. Love does not give up or lose faith, priest. Love is hopeful and withstands every situation. You know, I gotta say, this is feeling more and more and more like family with every card that turns. Because then the fear of inadequacy was like, well, I wasn't a good mother, I wasn't a good father, I wasn't a good enough, son, daughter, brother, sister, however that plays itself out. A fear of we have an inadequate relationship, whatever. But a real opportunity here for compassion and hope, right? Hope and faith, right? Love does not give up or lose faith for the divine masculine teacher here. Let's look at the overall. Get to know each other. Get to know each other. Learning to meet another's need for love is important for a relationship to grow. Now, with the amount of fire going on here in this bottom line, right? We've got a lot of transformation going on here. This might be as a result of miscommunication. Oh, gee, we're still in Mercury retrograde. That wouldn't be much of a shock. But then it is something that is planned, destined, fated to be for both of these two to move through. A major life lesson going on here that both of them need to learn. The things that confuse me and concern me, well, the ones that concern me are this card of revenge and this card of the Tower. Although next to the card of dreams, it might be just like their illusions are shattered, which better to have your illusions shattered than perpetuated because of that card of the dreams. But with this card of delight does not make sense. It just doesn't. How could someone be delighted? Not sure. That's right. Let's get our last card down, and I gotta say, Ascended Masters, you're the ones that gave us revenge, delight, and fear of inadequacy, which I can feel in there with that get to know each other. Like, it's like, oh, you feel that way too? I didn't know. I'm sorry. That kind of compassionate thing can certainly come from the companion. But we're going to ask the Ascended Masters for the Healing Mantra card. Matt Kahn. The healing mantra that whether you're the Divine Masculine or Divine Feminine, chanting it, memorizing it, saying it 1,000 times a day, however your practice goes, is going to help you heal you in this twin flame contract, whether or not the other heals. In the quantum, as one heals, all heals, but an ability to give yourself what the other cannot give you. Cool. Nice deep breath. And it's not like I can ask you in the comment box, Divine Feminine, what kind of revenge you planning? What's that about? Yeah, I don't get that one. And I don't get the Divine Masculine's delight either with that. I really don't. Let's go. Ascended Masters of Twin Flame Contracts, still point. No, I'm not mad. Just a little confused. You know me. Grace of humility. I know when I do not know. At least I ask to know when I do not know. So please. One card in clarity, a healing mantra for this Divine Feminine Companion Archetype, Divine Masculine Teacher Archetype, Taurus Collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, Twin Flame Contract for February, March 2020. Please, what is the ultimate, most truly, truly helpful healing mantra for this Twin Flame Contract, February, March 2020? Processing Grief. Aries got the exact same card. Look, if one of y'all is an Aries, go watch it. Particularly if you are the Divine Feminine companion, because this showed up as the Divine Masculine. And you see, I shuffle the crap out of these cards. The name of the mantra is Processing Grief. The mantra itself is, my losses prove how deeply I loved. Now, I'm not saying these two have lost each other. I'm saying that there has probably been a loss going on here, right? Particularly that's that Tower card of bam, a loss of dreams, right? A loss of aspirations. And with that Revenge card for the Divine Feminine, woo, that can obviously come from grief and from loss. My losses prove how deeply I love. And I'm going to read this one for you since I just read it in the previous reading. Processing Grief. My losses prove how deeply I loved. When grief is processed, you are able to notice the maturity you gained, even when losing the people, places, and things that once defined your sense of self, like losing oneself. Divine Feminine Companion. As you process grief, you are able to celebrate how deeply you committed to love instead of holding a grudge towards those who left or couldn't love you back. It could be that both of these people lost someone in common, like a family member, a tribal member, a community member, something like that is triggering both of them. Once grief is fully processed, it can ignite a deeper commitment to love. You know that your alignment with Source is not a matter of what comes or goes. It is determined by how much of yourself you are willing to share. This mantra is ideal for opening back up to love, rebuilding trust, and addressing heartache. Let me try and put this together with an overview. Usually when I do that, I get a bit more clarity because all the pieces of the puzzle are all on the table all at the same time. So let's do this with a lovely magic clap, shall we? Magic clap. We start with the companion archetype here with Serenity, right? So definitely this healing family archetype, Divine Feminine in the shadow. While maybe the revenge part is the betrayal by misusing confidences, right? There's that word, loss of personal identity, as a result of loss of personal identity, but really needing to heal this into loyalty, tenacity, and unselfishness. So keep an eye on that while really working, I would say, work that Serenity prayer. Because if there is a loss of identity here, then there's probably a dependency, right? And you're dependent upon this teacher to maybe give you the identity of student, even if it's not necessarily in a classroom or educational in that way. Might be an older, younger thing, but again, that could very easily be parent-child too. I almost said parental child, but you know what I meant on that. And with that card of the Nine of Pentacles, it does feel like this Divine Feminine has everything that she needs, maybe has gotten as far as she can get in this teacher relationship with being the companion to this teacher. But then, like I said, that card of revenge there, so get that in terms if it's about misusing confidences created within the contract itself, and for her to practice compassion, see things from a different perspective. Because I could see then this teacher being a little bit blindsided, right? Because being the teacher, ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, or wisdom, but if there has been manipulation or abuse of this Divine Feminine from this Divine Masculine teacher teaching negative skills and destructive skills, then I could see where this Divine Feminine companion is ready to jump ship and maybe key his car on the way out of the parking lot. Definitely feels like dreams are shattered here. Maybe this protege idea, or maybe the teacher had a vision of who this Divine Feminine companion would be in terms of like a protege, like of what they could be, but now sort of like the Divine Feminine says, I'm out of here. But along with that, then that card of delight, that really means is that this Divine Masculine really does delight in this twin flame companion here, and that his love will endure, that will not give up faith. Love is hopeful and withstands every situation. Remember that just because you're twin flames and you can't give each other what you want doesn't mean you can't love each other and build some sort of relationship, even from a distance, one that is respectful, because you can both learn boundaries, right? And your own personal goals, rather than projecting all of that onto each other. Because I do feel like, and this is every soul contract though, twin flame and soulmate, but with that priest archetype here, this has got to mean something very specific to whoever these readings are for, that in the light facilitates spiritual commitment, serves as a channel of spiritual energy somehow, this contract. Like I said, all of them do, but this one feels like maybe even outwardly somehow. But in the shadow violates the trust of the spiritual community, seduced by their own spiritual role, and that's the thing. Like, I could totally see this being like a high priest, high priestess deal in a coven, or a preacher and the preacher's wife, so to speak, something along those ways, where really you have a spiritual teacher or a teacher of some kind, and someone who's always, the companion, what is that, the sidekick, right? That there's sort of a traditional role going, at least when accepted by their community, that needs to be meditated, contemplated upon, because it feels like both the Divine Masculine and the Divine Feminine here are in a little bit of struggle. Her with that Five of Flames and him with that Seven of Wands. Well, Wands, Flames, it's the same suit. Really dealing with their own will, their own choices, their own decisions, and wanting to kind of break through and succeed, perhaps on their own. And yet with that fear of inadequacy, that could totally be underlying dependency on both sides, that I'm not good enough, but I can't do it by myself. I have to do this with you. It can't be done without you. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not, but it's a problem card. So I would say chances are that's not. But interesting how the higher selves on this one say, get to know each other. Learning to meet another's need for love is important for a relationship to grow, as well as to endure. Love endures, the one for the Divine Masculine. Maybe these two have an extended spiritual partnership of some kind. Look, could be friends, but really there's a dependency there that might be choking off some of the creativity and some of the spontaneity, some of the independence of each of them. This could even be like in an artistic situation, collaborators that have been collaborating for a long time, and the divine has been working through them in some ways, but now because of loss, and this card of processing grief definitely feels with that mantra, my loss is proof how deeply I love, that if this is the end of their relationship, they are both going to grieve, because they did love each other very differently, even if they couldn't give each other what they want. But at the same time, it feels like that Tower card for the Divine Masculine, that might be something that both of them share. There might be a loss in this community, in this tribe, in this family, that there is grief that has struck here, and maybe right now they can't get through this without each other because of societal, tribal, family, community constraints, not just position constraints. But if they can work this mantra, my losses prove how deeply I love, give voice and give love to that grief, process that grief, then both will be set free and be able to move forward under grace and in perfect ways. It's a heavy-duty read, Taurus, but this is why I put off the twin flame reads. The twin flame contracts are supposed to be rough. They're our best what? Teachers. Don't have to like it, don't have to enjoy it, have to endure it, learn, heal, grow, become the best that you could be, and fulfill your role in the divine plan. The genius of the twin flame contract is once you get, oh, they can't by contract give that to me. They can give it to everybody else on the planet apparently, but not me. Then I'm going to give it to myself. I'm going to get my own. And it feels like the divine feminine kind of already has the stability to do that, but maybe just hasn't had that ba-boom yet, the volcanic explosion. And for the divine masculine, it does feel like this Tower card is going to shake his world, shake his dreams, and maybe even release his delight to find life again and endure all of this. But definitely, with that card, get to know each other. It does feel like there needs to be a deeper contemplation, conversation, and meditation between these two. So, my Taurians, wishing you the very best and the very blessed. May this twin flame contract be blessed with all that it needs to heal, to grow, to learn, and fulfill its role, to fulfill, complete its contract under grace and in perfect ways for the well-being of all. And so it is. Oh, my darlings, my Taurians, hang in there, wishing you the very best and the very blessed with all of this. But for now, hail, farewell, and blessed be.